can be said that Len Dugger's coaching career began when he was a freshman basketball player at Hampton High School under legendary coach Buck Van Huss. But it could also be said that his career actually began over a decade earlier when he was born. 1979, you walk in the gym for the first time as the head coach of the Elizabethton Cyclones. Can you kind of compare that Len Dugger to the Len Dugger now, the guy that's got 500 wins and numerous state tournament appearances with the boys and the girls and a state championship? What was that young Len Dugger like, and does that seem like another lifetime, or just kind of paint that for me if you can?
You know, it does in a way, but you know, I walked in that gym not sure of what I was walking into, to be honest. You know, I think when you're young, you think you can coach, and you think you've got a lot of the answers and so on and so forth. I knew that I had a passion and a love for the game, and a passion and a love to work with those guys. And but I think you, as Father Time goes along, you become wiser. You probably realize that there's different ways to go about something to get the same results. Very dedicated kids. When I went there, Sam Greenwell was my assistant that I inherited, or he probably inherited me more. Sam was a great guy, and he would tell you that, you know, basketball wasn't his life, but he had been in coaching for a while, and he did a tremendous job. The kids really enjoyed him. And then, of course, got Eddie Carver to come from, he was helping Coach Bayless, and he came with me, and of course, that was a rock solid guy that didn't mind the work, didn't mind to spend the time with the kids, and you know, he'd work them to death this day in practice, and then you know, he was cutting up with them after practice. But as time went along, you see changes. I look back now and I see the changes that took place, you know, with probably the way you coach, but probably the way people were raising kids too, you know, and the, you know, you, as a coach, working with those young men, you're looking for the toughness, you're looking for competitiveness, and Elizabethton's been a very blessed high school, very blessed community to have some not only great athletes, but some really good kids, a lot of character, raised the right way. Parenting was unbelievable. You know, parents that cared about their kids and wanted to give them an opportunity to be successful in athletics and in my case in basketball, and supported them. You know, it's been very special there. I wouldn't take anything for the kids that I've had that opportunity to work with. And if Coach Carver was here with us right now, he'd say the same thing, and I guarantee you Sam Greenwell would. Sam, you know, I was a head coach, and Coach Carver and Coach Greenwell both were older than I was, you know, at the time. And you talk about, as I told somebody the other day, you talk about wet behind the ears, and then, you know, the people that I was coaching against when I came in, you know, the Charlie Baylesses that were in his prime, Dickie Warren, Coach Van Huss, you know, Coach Bayless and Coach Van Huss, they were together every Saturday conniving against everybody, you know. But then Jerry White, who gave me an opportunity when I came out of college to work with him, and as I told somebody the other day, he just let me coach. And and I'm always been indebted, and I appreciate the opportunity he gave me. But there again, you're talking about a Hall of Fame coach within itself, within Coach White. And then, of course, Coach Pitts comes along and establishes, what he did at Science Hill, John McCreary at North, Bobby Snyder, a man that's won, just oodles of games. And all these guys were great coaches. They weren't just coaches when they had good talent. They coached and took average or mediocre teams and turned them into, something special. And, Coach Chambers had just gotten out of high school coaching the year I came in. He was going to Kentucky, and Elvin Little, had just left over at Science Hill. Of course, Dennis Greenwood came in and coached after him, and Dennis was a tremendous coach. He took Cloudland High School to the state tournament. As I think back about all those men and the tremendous coaching job that they did at their respective schools, coaching the ladies. And I remember what Coach Summit told me when I took the girls. I asked if I could go down and spend some time with her, and she said, "Coach Dugger, you coach the girls the same way you coach those men for all those years." And she said, "They'll respond and they'll be better for it." And she said one thing about it, though. She said, if two girls have a spat over a boyfriend or something went wrong, said you better get them together and get it worked out, because it lingers and lingers with girls. But with guys, they'll hash it out, and they'll be they'll be gone to Pizza Inn or gone somewhere to get a hamburger, after practice, and they're over it. But and that was really good advice. But year out, and when I started with the girls, that first group, and your daughter was in that group, Hannah, Jasmine, Kelly, Mariah, Kyla, they sort of won me over a little bit to coaching girls, because I was still trying to see, test the water, so to speak. And but that was special, and they accepted me really well, and that was really special too. But I just the kids are what it's all about.
Coach, just tell me how you're feeling right now about the good things that you've gotten out of coaching, and what this career has brought you to this point.
Well, the biggest thing, Doug, is the kids. How I've enjoyed working with the kids, the memories that you have with the kids. I've been very blessed and very fortunate to work with some awfully special kids. I mean, just good people, not even talking about basketball, but a lot of character, a lot of class, good students, come from good families, good parents, good grandparents. That's, to me, that's the most important thing. Yes, we've had some success, the team's had success, but still, I remember the bus rides and the cutting up and picking at each other and things like that. And if I in the relationships with other coaches, enjoying other coaches, and believe it or not, enjoying the referees. Just because we're really all in the same boat. We're in a no-win situation, and I've enjoyed working with you people, with the press, and that's meant a lot to me also. And I think you have to get along a little bit in life as a coach before you really see that, feel that, or understand that. When I play against a coach, I want to win, but I understand where they're at, what they're doing, what they've been through, the things they're trying to accomplish. And I understand that officials are going to blow a whistle, and half the gym's going to think it was a great call, and half's going to think it was a horrible call, And we're blessed in this area to have a lot of good people working together for the benefit of the person, and that I'm still a student of the game. I still want to learn. I was watching an NBA game the other night and watching something that they were running, and I thought, where's my pencil? Where's my pad? But I still love the kids. I love working with the kids, and I think that what a lot of people don't understand, and sometimes parents don't understand, is the game of basketball is a lot like life. It's about commitment. It's about being competitive. So on and so forth. It's so easy in today's time, Doug, for jealousy to creep in and to overcome and to tear down, and sometimes it's hard for people to work together and things like that, especially with team sports. But once you have that, there's nothing that is more gratifying and more satisfying than seeing a group work together, come together, and for a common goal, and the knowing what they want to try to accomplish and what they want to try to achieve, and they're all willing to pitch in and work together and pull the same direction to accomplish that. Well, I want to see next year's group, not only the seniors, but the juniors, the sophomores, and the incoming people coming in from T.A. Dugger. But next year's group, honestly, I want to see them be what I've always felt in my heart like they could be. And I think they can be a championship type team. Now, I've made this statement before. I'm not sure they're going to wear everyone out, but I think if they will come together, I've put a lot of work into them. I've put a lot of heart into them, and they've put a lot of work into it and a lot of heart into it also. But in their own way, I think once they develop their own identity as a team, they have the potential and ability to still go out and win a district and get into a regional tournament. And that sometimes we've all been there. You don't have to be the best team as you move on down the state, just outplaying somebody for 32 minutes. And it can be done. But this group will be they're special to me. I'm going to miss them dearly. And I hate what they're dealing with the, with the sanctions, so to speak. That's very painful for me because I love the program, the basketball program. I love Elizabethton High School. And honestly, I felt like that was a little harsh. That was a little stiff for the situation. And, I just think that, there's some things there that didn't have to come down. I understand TFSAA has, certain guidelines, I guess, but I think they need to look at things a little differently in terms of degrees of difficulty or whatever, however you might say it. But, my heart goes out to our kids, especially the junior class, because there's some great kids there. And, I just feel like that the harshness of that takes away some of the experience of what a basketball team's all about. And a lot of times, some of the experiences and some of the things that young kids remember about their basketball years or their senior season, so to speak, doesn't always take place during the season. A lot of it is the lead up with preparation and things like that. And I know the last several years that I've been there, we've tried to make going to camp a very special occasion. My philosophy on that was, hey, we're going to improve our team, make our team better, but once we go in there in the gym and we play our 2 scrimmages or 3 scrimmages that day, whatever it may be, then we're about coming together and having some fun and doing some things that you kids want to do. And I mean, we've
Door open. Would you be interested in coaching somewhere else?
you know, right now, Doug, I got a lot of confusion. I have hurt, you know, and I just, I'm not really sure right now. I've told a lot of people right now is the right time of the year not to be in coaching, basketball especially, but I don't know how I feel when September, October rolls around. I just don't feel like I can totally walk away from this game that I've loved and had such a passion over. You know, it's been such a huge part of my life, and most people that know me, most of my family will tell you that it's consumed me. And but you know, that was just I guess that was a way that I was with Coach Fanhuss at Hampton. You know, I saw his passion, his love for the game. My college coach, Eddie Holbrook, I saw how he went about it. You know, I don't know. You know, I grew up with not a lot, and a big thing for me was to go every day to the gym and spend 6-7 hours at the gym, weekends, you know, and things like that. I just developed such a huge passion and love for basketball and the competition and competing and the relationships that you have with a team sport like basketball. I'm not going to say never or ever will not, because I can, you know, the last few short weeks that this has been, you know, some mornings I get up and I'm thinking I got to do this, and so the bug or the itch is still down in there, you know. Just only time will tell.
A young man or a young woman like that.
You know, as you go through life, there's always going to be crises and ups and downs and difficult times. Really, the one strength that you always have there is your faith. Your faith in God, and you know, I'm a firm believer that God has a reason and a plan for everything that goes on in our lives. Of course, Eddie Carver lives by that day by day. He's always telling people that purpose and a reason for what's happening in your life. But you know, you think of a lot of the kids that we've had the opportunity to coach, dealing with difficult times. You know, you pray that they don't have to go through this kind of stuff or any crisis in their life. You pray that your own kid doesn't have to. But you know, more or less, it's going to happen sooner or later. And you know, I just think that people just got to lean on their family, but most of all, the good Lord. Just be strong to their faith and trust the Lord will take care of them and see them through it.